Yep.
See Rochelle?
Yeah, right there.
All right. Hi, Miss Rochelle.
Sorry, I was muted. Hey there, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Good evening, you guys.
Good evening. Jake. All right. Let's get started. I call to order the February 18th, 2021 Board of Commissioners regular session. In accordance with Section 3 of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, the clerk will note that the record that this meeting is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to a local declaration of emergency adopted by the Board of Commissioners on March 18th, 2020 and extended on October 15th, 2020. All members are attending remotely and with video activated. During the roll call, each member will indicate they are currently located in Calhoun County, and if not, the city, county, and village, township, and state from which they are attending the meeting remotely. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Tommy Miller,
Here, Marshall.
Commissioner Gary Tompkins,
Present, Homer Township.
Commissioner Kathy Sue Vetty,
Here, District 1.
Commissioner Rochelle Hatcher,
Present, District 2, Calhoun County.
Commissioner Jake Smith,
Present, Battle Creek, Michigan.
Commissioner Steve Frisbee,
Present, Battle Creek.
Commissioner Derek King.
Present, Ceresco, Michigan.
We have quorum.
All right. After a moment of silence, Commissioner Miller will lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the February 18th, 2021 Board of Commissioners regular session as presented?
So moved. Betty.
Betty and Smith, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes,
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners February 4th, 2021 regular session as presented?
So move Tompkins.
Support Betty.
Tompkins and Betty, any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
yes.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is citizens' time. During citizens' time, the board chair shall recognize any person wishing to address the board. A person recognized by the chair shall call in and state his or her name and community of residence. A person may address the board only once on the same matter during each period set aside for citizens' time on the agenda, and only on matters that are relevant to county government. The chair shall control the length each person shall speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes, and shall not allow negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there's an approximately 30-second delay between the live meeting and the YouTube feed. Is there anyone who would like to address their commissioners? there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Nobody in the queue, Patrick?
No, sir.
All right, last call. Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? All right, we'll move along. Any elected or appointed county officials would like to comment tonight? Melinda Weaver, please.
I just wanted to let you guys know our staff is working very hard to prevent delinquent taxes going into forfeitures as of March 1st, where they get the $285 increase and then the interest goes back to 1.5% from when they first came over. Lucy helped Heather, one of our staff person, do a video to kind of explain it because it is a lot of information and sometimes it doesn't make sense. They did an awesome video. It's on the treasurer's website, I believe, or not the website. It might be on the website and then it's also on our Facebook. If you could share. Right now the staff is trying to make phone calls to all the people. And I just want to give you an example. Today in Clarence Township, we talked to an 86-year-old man that owes $300 for his 2019 taxes. His wife passed away. He doesn't understand what we're talking about. He ended up hanging up on us, but his taxes, if he doesn't pay them by March 1st, is going to go up to close to $700. So I reached out to Sue Ott at Clarence Township to see if she knew him because a lot of the smaller units know the people. And so maybe she could help him. She does not know him. She is going to look and see if his 2020 taxes are paid. And I may, if Gary, maybe you could help us out to try to connect with this guy, that would help greatly.
Yeah, if you, Melinda, if you would send me the name and whatnot, I'll work on that too as well.
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
his wife just died and we're running into that all around. So if you guys know people, please refer them to us so we can try to help them, because once they get in that forfeiture status, it's harder for them to get caught up, especially seniors who are on fixed income or somebody on disability that's on a fixed income, because those charges go up big. So we're really focusing on that and we don't have a lot of time. March 1st is around the corner. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Share the video. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Chair, I have a question for Melinda, please.
Yes.
Just based upon, and Gary also too, just based upon what you just said, Melinda, and thank you so much for that. If his wife passed away, is it possible that there may be a death certificate on file in the county registrar's office or so like that, that may show next of kin, or, you know, maybe where the funeral arrangements were sent, or so, just anything like that, that maybe we may be able to reach out and contact his family. Just a thought.
And
Just a
yeah,
thought.
no, I definitely, and that's why I called Sue out at Clarence,
Yeah.
because they know so many people. So, and she might even stop by his house. He lives on a
That's-
main road. And
yeah.
I don't think it was, he was angry. I think he can't hear and he doesn't
Oh.
understand. And I just know that because I have an uncle that cannot hear nothing on the phone. And so they get confused. And if he has his 2020 taxes paid, and then we forfeit on his 19th, that's pretty sad. So we're working very hard on that. So if you know anybody, send them our way.
Okay, thank you. Will do. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other comments tonight? All right. We have no special order of business. We'll move on to consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for February 18th, 2021, Board of Commissioners regular session as presented?
So moved, Betty.
Support Miller.
Support Smith.
Betty and Miller, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher,
I'm sorry. Yes, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
it's 7 yes.
Motion carries. And do we have any special committee or workshop or board reports tonight?
May I, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Just one this evening, the Senior Millage Allocation Committee met on Friday, February 5th virtually. Just some items that we had covered. We heard a special presentation and an update on the Albion Senior Retirement Housing Development Project. It was part of the one of the projects that we selected as far as the Senior Strategic Projects Fund. Linda Colmaden and Marcia Starkey, co-directors of the Senior Housing Commission, were on hand virtually, obviously, to give us an update on that. Even though it's right now currently in its infancy, we're very pleased with the progress that they're making in terms of moving. That's a pretty significant major project, certainly for the Albion area. So we're monitoring that closely, and they look like they're off to a very good start. Additionally, we also finalized or approved some end of the year 2020 contractual spending supplementals. In addition to, again, looking at our 2021 Senior Strategic Projects RFP recommendation. We looked at that in terms of what kind of funds that may potentially be available, at least our recommendation point. And then we currently have 4 members that are up for renewal for membership and on the committee. They're due April 30, 2021. All 4 have indicated that they do, in fact, want to return. So we'll be taking a motion, or we'll be taking action on that in March in our committee, and certainly we'll see it here at the Board of Commissioners meeting. So that's just the one committee report I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Kathy
Chair
Sue.
Frisbee, thanks. The Visitor and Convention Bureau met last Tuesday for our first meeting in 2021. And Linda, our CEO, Linda Freibler, did a great little year in review for us of 2020, which was really, really very nice. It's a 2-page document. And I know Kelly generally goes over some of this stuff in her report, and she'll probably add it to her biweekly newsletter. But I was just going to talk about a couple of things. In January of 2020, we had created a new 5-year strategic destination plan, which we really have not been able to put into use quite yet, unfortunately. February, she launched a Dear Battle Creek newsletter featuring Annie Kelly. And I don't know whether I've talked about this in the county meetings yet or not, but it's a community letter, and Annie's a lovely writer. It's darling. Last month, she focused on Jay Gladstone, who actually works for Visitor Convention Bureau, and just how friendly and great he is. And he is our chief salesperson, and what a wonderful job he does. And she had a really cute write-up about him in there. She lists off the many grants that they have received to try to help get us through over this COVID period. They've gotten $7,000 from BCU, $6,000 from the Battle Creek Community Foundation. They also got it's a EIDL grant for 10 grand, and then they got a loan for 150,000. So Linda has worked very, very hard to keep our budget in a really good position. We also donated to the Claude Evans Splash Park and sponsored and hosted the MHSAA, volleyball state finals, where St. Phil, as y'all probably know, ended up winning their division, which is fun for them. And then Linda has been instrumental in working with the county and Brad Wilcox over working on our COVID hotels that we have needed to have. We've done a couple of those now in a couple different time frames. And then in December, they actually did letters to and from Santa. They created it, and they had quite a few letters come in. And if anyone of the kids did actually put their addresses on them, then they wrote a letter back to them, which I thought was kind of cute. So anyways, her staff has been very innovative, and they do a really great job. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight?
I got something, Steve.
Go ahead, Commissioner Miller.
I can't raise my hand for some reason, but CCAS met last night. I was appointed on to the board of last night. There were 6 applicants that applied. There is still 2 more openings. If anybody's a CCAS member and was interested, they're taking applications, I believe, until March 21st. We discussed we're trying to change our celebrity luncheon is normally in February. We have changed as of right now. We're going to try to do it on April 16th. Hopefully, we can get some more people in there with the restrictions. And we talked a lot about giving these youth exhibitors some more time for the deadlines. A lot of people are holding out to see if they're going to even purchase projects, if they're going to have, but as of right now, we plan on having a fair still, unless something major changes. But that's about all we had to talk about.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. There's no unfinished business. I'll turn it over to Administrator Controller Kelly Scott for new business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start with an update on the county's countywide COVID response efforts. As of this morning, our unified team for the Joint Operations Center discussed our plans for convening our meetings through March and April, and we have decided to continue the current schedule, which is our unified command team is meeting twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30. We will hold once a week Joint Operations Center briefing on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. And we continue the every other week live Joint Information Center for the media and local government officials on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Also, our internal, what we called our COVID response team that we kind of expanded from our department head and elected officials group since last March. We have decided, we've been meeting weekly, essentially, since last March. We've decided to meet every other week now through the end of April. And just given the current gathering restrictions and watching what the state is doing as far as orders and allowances for working remotely and meeting remotely, I've been saying, my recommendation is that the county continue our remote board of commissioners meetings and remote work and essentially our status quo operations through April. The courts announced last week that they did get approval to move from phase 1 to phase 2 of the Supreme Court Administrative Office 4-phase reopening plan. Essentially, not a lot has changed from phase 1 to phase 2, and they need to get to phase 3 in order to start jury trials. So because of the lead time for notifications for jurors, they have, and they're continuing to send out summonses for jurors for the month of March. But at this point, they have not been able to meet essentially the number of new cases per million population per day that is required by the state Supreme Court in order to move to phase 3. So that's still to be determined when we can bring back jury trials. Other than that, county operations are status quo since really we put in place since last July. And from our employee population standpoint, we've only had one new employee test positive since we last met at the Board of Commissioners meeting on February 4. So things are looking good. The numbers, of course, as you've probably heard on the news, are good within Calhoun County, and the big focus is, of course, on the vaccine clinics. And Kathy Sue did a wonderful job describing the outcome of the Visitors Bureau Board. I'll just say, since we last met over the last 2 weeks, a lot of focus has been on looking at the financial impact of COVID on our community for the year 2020, and our fiscal year is January through December. So we're internally trying to wrap that up and watching the state and federal guidelines as far as stimulus funding and how we can make sure that we are leveraging the funding that is available, and we can do that retroactively, seeing how the rules are continuing to change. For example, now FEMA is reimbursing local governments for 100% of eligible costs versus 75% that we thought was in place all the way through last year. The Coronavirus Relief Fund has been extended through 2021. And of course, we're watching the new stimulus package that is sitting in Congress right now that includes a lot of money. I think it's $350 billion for local governments that would be in place this year. And that has a lot more flexibility as far as being able to help with economic development efforts and also reimbursing us for lost revenues. So kind of a lot up in the air as far as financials. And as far as the Visitors Bureau, their main source of income is from hotel accommodations tax. And so countywide, that's about $1.5 million every year. And last year, the prediction was that that would be down by 50%. Fortunately, it wasn't that bad. And so the Visitors Bureau, as well as the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance and probably the Albion Chamber are in the position where we're going to watch the revenues for the next few months, but be in a position potentially to amend the budget to the positive for the rest of this year. And the Visitors Bureau is working really hard to continue to promote and encourage events. They're saying that there's a really good outlook on, as soon as we can do so safely, that the American public is very much willing to travel and, you know, has there's potential for us to rebound within this year. So I think aside from that, we've been fortunate that our state and federal associations, so the Michigan Association of Counties, National Association of Counties, have been pretty good about offering webinars, legislative updates almost on a daily basis. So you'll see in my written update that comes out tonight, I've attended several of those. Again, just trying to make sure that we have the opportunity to weigh in on legislative efforts that impact counties, and also just to make sure that we are understanding the latest developments in particularly the funding initiatives, the state's new budget, the governor's executive budget recommendation, the change in leadership in state administration, and of course the federal administration, and how we can make sure that we are on the forefront in, you know, being as responsive as we can, the dollars that are available to respond to community needs regarding COVID. And the big focus now is, you know, what are the long-term impacts to our community, and will they require more county resources? There are continuing to be new dollars flowing through from the federal government through the state to our health department to make sure that they're prepared for when the supply of vaccine really ramps up and we're no longer just waiting for enough vaccines, but when we have more vaccines supplied, then what our public is willing to accept. So there's a lot of communication efforts that Lucy and others have been working on there. So again, just really want to thank the health department and all of you who have been helping out with the vaccine clinics. They've been very successful. And again, we're just kind of in this focus of closing out last fiscal year's financials and then trying to figure out what this year is going to look like and how we can make sure that we're prepared to best support the community as a county to the best of our ability. And that would conclude my report, other than to say I'm looking forward to our board orientation tomorrow. We're planning to start via Zoom at 8 a.m. and wrap up by noon. Obviously, we don't have new commissioners, but it's, I think, at the beginning of the term, just hopefully a good refresher. You'll have some updated statistics and kind of a sneak preview into annual reports that we're working on for across the county for our departments and elected officials that Lucy is spearheading. And just make sure that you understand what initiatives we're working on for the next 2 years. So that is it for me tonight, and we can move on to our pretty short agenda for new business. So I'll start with item 12B1, and that comes from our treasurer, Brian Wensauer. And of course, you heard from our deputy treasurer, Melinda Weaver, who's also here tonight. This is their annual request to authorize the delinquent tax anticipation notes. So this helps to fund the annual settlement of the real property tax that are delinquent as of March 1st of every year. It helps with cash flow for all of our local units of government, including the county. Without that, we would be trying to wait for those delinquent taxes to be paid before we would get the cash. So really appreciate that. And you'll see there's not a dollar amount in the resolution, but it's basically a statutorily allowed amount that is a calculation based on the amount of delinquent taxes once we get to March 1st. And there's some checks and balances in there about when that loan needs to be paid back. I know our treasurer, Brian, has done a wonderful job in paying that back well before the required time so that we're not paying unneeded interest. And with that, I would recommend, and our Corporation Counsel, Jim Dyer, has also reviewed this, and we would recommend approval of this resolution.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution to authorize delinquent tax anticipation notes as presented?
So moved, Tompkins.
Support Betty.
Tompkins and Betty, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Yes, please.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries.
Just note in the chat, there was a message that also the treasurer's office administers the hotel accommodations tax that I was talking about for our visitors bureau. And I do want to note and give them credit for any time that any of our local hotels are delinquent in remitting their accommodations tax, which we may have expected last year due to COVID. The treasurer's office goes after them within statutorily allowed methods to get that. And of course, they did that last year, not the least of which was the McCamley Hotel in Battle Creek. So we appreciate those efforts. And then Brian and Melinda, I'll just say, we can definitely include for the next Board of Commission meeting, any presentation you would like to make. We can do a special presentation for either your annual report or, a PowerPoint related to delinquent property taxes. I think we would be interested in that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so item 12B2 is a request for a staffing allocation change. So this comes under the annual budget appropriations act that you pass in conjunction with adopting the annual budget. So this gives the board control over us just moving forward with making staffing changes that affect the budget throughout the year without your approval. And in this case, this comes from Administrative Services, our Assistant County Administrator, Brad Wilcox. These all go through HR, and Brad is experiencing the departure, the retirement, and resignation of a couple of our key department heads, Leslie Obrake from Purchasing and Curtis Smyers from Facilities. And as I hope you would expect, he has taken that opportunity to sort of reevaluate the organizational chart for administrative services and figure out the best way to post new positions within budget constraints and, leverage the talent that we need to continue our leadership, continue the purchasing efforts, not the least of which includes our road department and including the Jackson County Road Department. And also to talk about a succession plan. So with that, I would like to ask Brad to just describe briefly kind of the longer term plan. This action item is really just a simple first step, which is we need to ask the board to delete the purchasing coordinator position, which was Leslie's position, and replace that with a new position that we're calling operations coordinator. They're both non-union positions. The operations coordinator, the new position, does have a little bit higher salary just because we really need to step up the expectations for that position. And again, with that, I'll turn it over to Brad.
Thanks, Kelly. So as you mentioned, in January 21, if you looked at the administrative services org chart, there were 4 positions, 3 managers and a purchasing coordinator. Of those 4 individuals, they had over 110 years of service experience. So in the 26 years that I've been with the county, I've basically had the same 4 management key personnel in place, and we've worked together. So, there was virtually no turnover, but within 30 days, I literally lost 2 employees with a combined experience of 50 years. So, you kind of sit and think the skills, the experiences, the, institutional knowledge that's kind of leaving your group. But then you think about, the opportunity to look at things a different way. Over the past 25 years, a lot of things have changed. And I think you should always take an opportunity to take, long-term key staff leaving to, restructure and reorganize. So that's really what this recommendation represents. Basically, I did backfill the facility manager position internally on an interim basis and chose to eliminate the purchasing coordinator position for the purpose of really to create a new position called an operations coordinator that not only took on purchasing, but also, the leasing activities of the $1 million+ that we have in leasing, energy management, the Honeywell contracts, the procurement we do for natural gas and electric, risk management, special projects, contract management. Purchasing is kind of being less emphasized, or I say decentralized, in a way that I think there's extra resources available here, and we can add responsibilities. And plus, I think it positions us better as an organization in the event we have another key departure from our area. This position and the responsibilities somewhat mirror a lot of things that I do at a higher level. But right now, I'm doing a lot of the coordination of those things, a lot of the maintenance, a lot of the upkeep and administrative work. And in having a person available, I can mentor this person and pass on a lot of that information and hopefully be available to coordinate at a higher level and create more new programs and do more work. So I think it's a great move forward, a good opportunity for the right person to have a position of in-depth responsibility, and also have a person that can support across all of the administrative, what we call now the operations departments of the county that I oversee. So appreciate your consideration of this, and I think it's a good long-term move.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the 2021 staffing allocation change administrative services as presented?
So move, King.
Support, Betty.
King and Betty, any discussion? I'd just say, Brad, good job. It's good to see you thinking about future, and we're all replaceable. Not that we're looking for you to leave, that's for sure, but mentoring people behind you to take over is a key piece of leadership, and I'm glad you're doing it. So thank you. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries.
Final item under new business tonight is 12B3, the request that you consider a contract amendment to renew our medical director contract. So this is a contract between the county and Western Michigan University, their medical school. We've had this in place since 2017. It's been a wonderful partnership, I think, where we're actually contracting to have Dr. William Nettleton be our medical director. He's also the medical director for Kalamazoo County. And the way the contract was structured was we originally were paying for about a quarter of his time. The county was paying for an additional part of his time. And then the thought was he, still works for Western Michigan University and their medical school for the additional time. We also received not just his services, but backup other physicians that can help, in the background. So this amendment increases the amount of time that the expectation that Dr. Nettleton will spend for Calhoun County and also his backup staff. And then it accounts for a little bit of an increase in his medical malpractice insurance. So we were previously paying, again, for about a quarter of an FTE. This is increasing it to 0.3 FTE, so about 10 hours per week and of his time. And then again, plus the backup that whatever he needs to help us out. The contract goes from about 64,000 to 83,000. It's approximately $19,000 more. Again, it's not really a difference in rate as much as just an acknowledgement that the proportion of time that he's spending with both of our county public health versus time being spent in his other job is greatly increased, mainly because of the COVID pandemic. And he's done a wonderful job with some of our communications. He's been on the national news describing, the vaccine safety. And so we're really appreciative of his efforts, and I would definitely support, and our health officer supports this contract amendment for 2021. It comes out of the health department budget formally, but ultimately it's the county general fund that appropriates to that for that cost.
Can I have a motion to approve the medical director contract amendment 2021 as presented?
So moved, Betty.
Support Smith.
Betty and Smith, is there any discussion?
Chair Frisbee,
Yes.
I would just like to add to what Kelly said about Dr. Nettleton. I've had an opportunity to listen to him and watch him work for quite a bit now. And on Wednesday, he was at our clinic, our vaccination clinic in Battle Creek all day. And several times I witnessed him walking around and talking to our elderly population and, just checking in on them. He's a local guy who grew up here and grew up with my older kids, and he comes from a great family, and he's just doing a wonderful job. He is.
And as Kelly said, I think he's pretty well respected in the realm throughout the state, which is good. And having a local guy is even better.
Yes, agreed.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes.
It's 7 yes.
Motion carries. Our next item is citizens' time. The same rules apply as during the first citizens' time. Please limit your time to 3 minutes and no negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there's an approximately 30-second delay between the live meeting and the YouTube feed. Anyone like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Patrick, anybody in the queue?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll wait about 30 more seconds. Is there anyone who'd like to address our commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on. Commissioner time.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just a few quick comments. First and foremost, want to certainly put a shout out and a thank you to our road department crews who were out in force on the recent snowfall that we had. Received a number of positive comments from residents who were very impressed with the reaction time and getting our roads clear. So again, I just want to take that opportunity to thank our road crews for doing a great job of getting out there on the roads to clear that for our residents. And then real quickly on the second item, this is regarding to the treasurer's office, and I did happen to see that video that was put together. I was impressed by Lucy's name. I believe it was Lucy Belusi, I believe is what that was. So, but really a good video, just from the fact is putting it, if you will, in layman's terms, in a much simpler type terms, and a lot of people do appreciate that. So Lucy Cabusi, there you go. I knew it was something like that. So again, great job. I think that's another opportunity to be able to communicate the message and get it across. So great job to you guys as well. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Chair Frisbee, I would like to share that last Tuesday, yourself, myself, and Commissioner Hatcher all were a part of a NAACP vaccination informational program, and it was really wonderful. I believe it was hosted by Carrie Whitfield, who is the president of the Battle Creek NAACP. And it was a kind of a panel forum where it had Reverend William Wine, which I think that's Rochelle's pastor. And then Bill Manns, the CEO from Bronson, was on there. Dr. Nettleton was on there. And then there was also a representative from Pfizer, a Black woman, Barbara Wine, I think was her, Wayne was her last name?
Wayne, I think. Wayne.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, but, and you may want to share more, Rochelle. I just thought it was a really great, a great informational piece about getting our Black and Brown population vaccinated and bringing the vaccinations to them, and some innovative ideas. And I know our health department is working on implementing some of that. And again, Rochelle, you might have more to add.
You know, thank you, Kathy Sue. If I was to add any more, it would just be exactly the same. I thought that the panel and, you know, it being put together, and knowing that President Whitfield had been experiencing the health problems that he had been having, you know, to be there with us all night like that. The only thing I would say is that I appreciated the efforts that he put forward to get that information out to the community like he did. It was just a wonderful job. So it was great, and great hearing from you guys too. And I just think the discussion was really good.
I would add to that, that Dr. Nettleton was challenged that night, and he didn't take it as a affront to him. He took it as a method and input to better serve the community, and I was very proud of how he handled that. And
exactly,
proud
Steve.
of how it was presented in the community as well. So there wasn't an angry moment. It was simply a learning moment. And you know, I think a lot of valuable information learned, as Kathy Sue and Commissioner Hatcher both said.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Right, we'll move on. Oh, Commissioner Miller.
something, Steve.
Hand up. I see it now.
Yeah, I just want to send a kudos out to our health department. I went to Marshall Township virtual meeting Monday night, and I heard nothing good about these drive-through clinics getting vaccinated. And Jeff Albaugh, one especially, said that they did a great job, very informed, got them in and out of there, very professionally ran.
Well, if you can make Jeff happy, then everything's good.
Chair, your mic is a little muddled. I'm sorry. I missed that last statement. I'm sorry.
I said if you could make
or it could be me.
I can't hear it either.
Okay.
It's probably me. I'm not sure what's going on here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Just being all nice and soft spoken.
It's just good to hear. We continue to hear concerns about vaccine not getting into arms, but I'm telling you that the vaccine that we have is making it to arms very, very quickly. So it's not from a lack of effort by anybody providing it. It's
Right.
from the lack of available product.
Availability. Yes.
I couldn't agree more. I volunteered at 6 clinics now. And it is just amazing at what everyone has done from, wheeling people in wheelchairs to taking vaccinations out to the cars for people who are struggling with mobility, or when it was just so cold yesterday, to rescheduling people from canceled vaccination clinics, whether it was weather or loss of the vaccines didn't arrive. Having people there that can help to interpret for both the Latino and the Burmese communities. It's amazing. It's no one ever says no. They're just like, how can we, let's get it done. It's just been great.
Great. Anybody else tonight? All right, we'll move on. Can I have a motion to approve the Calhoun County claims payable for January 29th, 2021 through February 11th, 2021 in the amount of $2,275,095.32 as presented.
So moved, Betty.
Support Hatcher.
Betty and Hatcher, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
that's 7 yes.
Motion carries. Are there any announcements tonight?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yep, thank you, sir. Just one quick announcement. On February 27th of this upcoming Saturday, on the 27th of February, I'll be certainly honored and excited to participate in a drive-by celebration honoring and recognizing the 70th wedding anniversary of Mr. Henderson and Lula Harris in Albion.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, 70 years, and we'll have an opportunity to do the drive-by celebration. I've got a proclamation I've got ready for them. Just want to give you a little bit of an excerpt about this incredible couple that we'll be so honored to be able to recognize on that Saturday. Henderson and Lula Harris were married on February 24th, 1951 in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The beautiful couple have resided in Albion for over 60 years and have been faithful members of the Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. They've been staples in the community. Henderson retiring after 29 years of service at the Albion Malibu Iron Company, which my father and grandfather both worked at, so certainly know that. And Lula, as a dedicated employee of Albion Public Schools, the Albion Manor, both had volunteered at many organizations, including Albion Public Schools and the Habitat for Humanity. Mr. and Mrs. Harris were blessed with 4 children, Bobby, Henderson Jr., Judy, and Tony, who are all Albion graduates. They have 6 grandchildren, 19 great-grandchildren, and 8 great-great-grandchildren, which they adore. Henderson is 93 and Lula is 91. And like I said, February 27th will be a special day where I get a chance to not only do the drive-by celebration, but be able to present this proclamation that I put together for them as well. So again, just some real positive. I know with our seniors dealing with social isolation issues, certainly with COVID, it's great to have an opportunity to be able to celebrate this very, 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 very special event for their 70th wedding anniversary. So
I would have to say, Chair Thompson, Vice Chair, I'm sorry. I'm for sure that I heard you wrong and that you did say 7 years. And I was going to say, I just think it's wonderful that you could always find love at any time, because I know you aren't saying 70 years.
70 with a 70, absolutely. 70 years, yes.
I got to go downstairs and give my husband a hug or something, you guys. 70 years.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is really awesome. Congratulations, Gary. And I know that you're doing the proclamation, and just if you could at all, please just tell them that I said the exact same thing. Congratulations. So we as a whole do that, because that's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Any other announcements?
70.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yep.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah. Everyone stay safe.
Yep,
Everyone
that's right.
stay safe. And I'm going to go and count 70 again and see, because I'm